Hi guys! I'm on the lookout for some brave, curious and silly explorers to join me on an adventure. Well, let's put it this way. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to bounce along inside a giant bubble? How about a hike in a tropical jungle? Or what goes on in a top secret superhero lair?
Watch out for flying underbound!
Is this a yes, yes, yes? I'm Connie, Chief Adventurer at Armchair Adventures, a super fun and a little bit bonkers podcast for kids aged 6 to 10. Each episode is a brand new adventure, and you're invited. What makes it super special is that I've jam-packed it full of sing and move-along fun. You can listen wherever you get your podcasts. Where will your next armchair adventure take you?
You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Hello and welcome to Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast that's suitable for all ages from 2 and everything in between. I'm Tiernan, and for some reason this week I appear to be doing a beatbox without even trying. It's really weird. Can you beatbox, listeners? I don't mean where you fight a box. That's not fair. Boxes really aren't very good at fights. You know, they just sort of flatten and as soon as you touch them. Unless, of course, they're very tough boxes full of very heavy things. And then, of course, if you push it, it really hurts your arm. Yeah. Anyway, don't do that. But the beatboxing, I mean, is when people do all sorts of sounds from their body, you know? No, not those sorts of sounds. I mean, beats and pops and noises from their mouth, like, you know, like that. I think that's it, anyway. So, yeah, anyway, I can't stop beatboxing, and it's very odd. But I suppose it's kind of cool too, isn't it? Linda, do you have any ideas how to stop beatboxing, Linda? Maybe you listeners do. I'll have a little quick check of the mailbag and see. This is an Apple review from I'm Your Biggest Fan, which is lovely. I didn't know Radio Nonsense had giant fans. How big are you, giant fan? Like a person on the shoulders of another person? Or like a bear on the shoulders of that person? Or like there was a tree on top of the bear? I'm so glad that even though you're so big, you've managed to find headphones that fit you. So, they say, best podcast ever. Hey, sup, I love this show. It makes me laugh so much. I get very bad hiccups when I listen to this podcast. I'm your biggest fan. Ooh, it's not beatboxing I'm doing, it's hiccups that I've got. I'm sorry that you get them from listening to this podcast, but I was listening to a recording of an old Radio Nonsense and I started hiccuping. So maybe this show is too gassy. Stop it. I'm sorry. Well, I guess the only thing you or I can do is to try and cure the hiccups, right? I mean, there's loads of ways to do it. There's a whole YouTube video about it. Look, watch.
Hi, do you have endless hiccups? Then try these 5 tips to make sure you never get hiccups again. Number 1, put a bucket of custard on your head while humming a Christmas song.
Okay, I'll try it. Oh, it didn't work. What's next?
Number 2, call Jeff and ask him a really annoying question.
Okay. Hi, is that Jeff? Jeff, in France, when people ask for toast, do they automatically get given French toast? And do they have to ask for British toast if they want, you know, just normal toast? Oh, it didn't work. Sorry, Jeff.
Number 3, think about a green penguin balancing on a long piece of spaghetti above a field of sad balloons.
Okay. Green penguin, piece of spaghetti, got it, and then field of sad balloons. How sad should they be? Okay, I'll go for very sad. Oh, dagnabbit. Okay, I've got 2 more to try, but I better tell you all that if you need to write in and tell me anything at all, or you have a question that you need to have answered, then please ask your nearest flopdoodles, grown-ups, to help you. Email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. Or maybe you can leave a review for the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or on your homework, maybe. Do check out comedyclubforkids.co.uk for all of our live shows, and if you like Radio Nonsense, then please do tell exactly 7.37879 people that you know to give it a listen as well. Okay, or while I sort these hiccups out, you listen to this most importantest bit.
One hiccup, sort of funny.
Hooray! It's Adele Cliff, aka Adele, who doesn't believe she's ever seen a gazelle, aka Adele Cliff, world champion of sitting on the roof, and of course, as all of our listeners who are underwater know you, Adele, you are very well known for your groundbreaking research to find all the people in history who did nothing interesting at all, for your invention of special duck shampoo that enables them to keep water on their backs, and of course, for the time you single-handedly told the Wild West to stop it, calm down and behave, and it did. Adele, it's so nice having you on the show. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. And it's a thrill to speak to someone who knows all of my great achievements, because so few people do. And it took a lot of development, that shampoo. Feathers don't work like hair.
Yes, and what I thought was very interesting, because I have read up on you, and I've read, you've done such amazing things. But what I thought was very interesting is obviously you didn't want to test that shampoo on animals because you're very ethical like that. But then, of course, it was for animals; it was for ducks, which made it quite tricky.
Well, yeah, you got to do human trials. So I stuck a lot of feathers to people for the human trials. They didn't like it, but I said no. I need you to suffer. The animals have done that enough. And they just got on with it. And I didn't pay them, obviously. Animals don't get paid when they're tested on, so why would the humans?
Good point.
But
did you leave the feathers on them afterwards? I was going to say, are these people still wandering around today looking like a duck?
Oh, yeah. Well, a few of them had quite long necks, so they look like swans. But
Right. That is... Yeah, I suppose that could have also been the problem if you're testing on humans that are dressed as ducks, but some of them are dressed as swans. How did you know it was going to be effective on ducks?
Well, I went with an 80% to 20% duck to swan ratio. And I thought the ducks are the target audience, but if a swan happens to want to buy it, I'm not going to stop them. It's not entirely good for their hair texture, but they can go for it, and it has mixed results, but it's fun for them to try. Bad on geese, though. No, not for geese.
Oh.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff isn't for geese, really, and I often wonder what geese think they're doing, because generally they seem to be very annoyed about most things in life, and I sort of think maybe they should just find somewhere nice to live and stay there.
They should. Do you know the best thing that ever happened to me when I was a child was that a goose bit my sister. It was so good.
That is very good. Did she say boo to it, or was it just going to bite her?
No, she was being very sweet and feeding it, and then it bit her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a classic goose move.
It was such a goose move, and it was so enjoyable, and is, to this day, one of the best things that's ever happened.
I mean, it's incredible. Did your sister gain, special goose powers?
No, but she's afraid of birds now, so if anything, the goose gained power over her.
Wow. Oh, wow, that's like a reverse superhero situation.
Yeah, it's anti-Spider-Man. She is worse around geese now than she was before.
That's incredible. And do you think somewhere out there is what would it be, girl goose? A goose with the powers of a girl that's scared of geese? Yeah,
maybe. Or like gymnastic goose. Like my sister was a gymnast, so maybe there's a goose out there that can do like handstands on its beak or something, or things like that.
That would be an incredibly dangerous goose.
Well, it already was.
There's a goose out there cartwheeling and biting people, and there's nothing anyone can do
about it.
I was
terrorising my hometown. It's all they can talk about.
Yes, I bet.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, what an incredible origin story for that goose, and sadly not for your sister, unless she's gone on to create anti-geese devices, I suppose, in which case.
No, she's just decided to be mostly a land-based person. Yeah.
Right. That
doesn't spend a lot of time in rivers and waterways, and that sort of solved the problem, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a shame, but she really misses out on some great just waterway time that the rest of us all get to do.
Yeah. Who doesn't love hearing a goose honk at you?
Well, exactly. One of life's greatest pleasures, I think, having a goose honk in your face, and especially if it's cartwheeling towards you at the time.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
no shampoo for geese.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And I was going to say just on the swan thing, because I'm sure this is half true, at least, that the royal family own all the swans, don't they? Or the swans are like a property of the royal family.
Yeah,
So did
I
you
don't
have to
know how they can enforce that. I think if
No, I
I
did think about
found
that.
a swan and I took it into my house
Hmm.
and I hid it, who's going to fight me? The king? I could
The
beat
king,
him.
yeah.
I could beat
No,
him in a
but-
fight.
I mean, you could, but that would you be allowed to? Are you
Well,
allowed to beat the king in a fight?
maybe if it's, I wonder if there's any like, old timey dueling sort of rules. Like maybe I can beat
Yes.
him in a fight if it's with swords, but not if it's just with fists.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be something more weird. It'll be like a small silver spoon. You'll have to
Yeah.
duel with a small silver spoon while dressed as a bard.
Or maybe I can't beat him, but I could train the swan to fight him. And if the swan
Oh.
fights him off, it's sort of a victory over its oppressor.
Yes.
And then it's a free swan, and I get to keep the free swan, and we can be buddies.
Yes, and the king wouldn't be able to fight the swan back because
No.
it would be he'd be too confused about how that all works.
Yeah, it's like cows in India.
Is that how
Cows are sacred, so you can't be mean to them.
Oh, cows are saying, but they don't belong to the Indian king.
No.
No, right. No, I don't know if there is an Indian. There might well be. I don't know if he owns
I don't know if
cows.
the Indian king might not be our king, but that would be the closest they'd have.
Oh, yes. Oh, so do you think... Oh, my gosh. Do you think the king of
Do you think he owns all the swans in India as well?
And all the cows?
Do you think he owns all the swans and cows in the Commonwealth?
I just think how exhausting... What an exhausting thing to do. You're going to have to hire people to check up on all the swans. You have to hire people to check up on all the cows. Are there any other animals? I mean...
Maybe each country could have different ones. Canadians can have all the mooses, meese. Yeah.
Meese, yeah.
All the meese.
I'm sure it's meese.
It's all the meeses. I think the thing is, if I own a cat, I have to buy food for the cat and toys for the cat and pay vet bill for the cat. I don't think the king's doing that for all the swans, so I don't think he gets to claim he owns them.
No, that's
I
fair.
have fed
That's
more
fair.
swans than the king's fed. I'm always
Wow,
out there
that is
giving
quite
my...
a claim. That is a big claim, and
That's my big claim, and I will die on that hill. I definitely have
Well-
fed more swans than the king.
I really hope the royal family aren't listening to this. It's going to be it's going to cause a lot of controversy.
I know,
I am
they are
starting
big
to wonder
listeners.
if they are big listeners. I mean, who isn't? You know, we've got intergalactic royal families tuning into this show.
Yeah.
You know, all sorts.
Camilla
all sorts
loves a
of,
pod.
Well, exactly, and but I do. I was wondering more if maybe, you know, it's the sort of thing of if you're going to be a royal ruler, maybe the way the people have rebelled is by giving you the most annoying animals to have to look after.
Inconvenience.
So each country's gone, well, you can have the cows, you can have the moose, I'll give you the kangaroos.
Yeah.
It's
You
the
can
ones
have
that
the
are going to be most annoying to
mosquitoes.
feed. Yes,
Yeah.
maybe they own all the mosquitoes in
God.
Indonesia or something. That'd be an incredible...
I don't think I'd want to own all the mosquitoes. Not unless you could train them
No.
to fly in formation and only attack people you didn't like.
Yeah, and you wonder if you were to own them and they legally had to listen to you, I wonder if you could persuade them to maybe try orange squash instead of blood.
Maybe, yeah. What do they really want from the blood? Bit of iron? There's a lot of iron in spinach.
Yeah, there you go, spinach juice.
Spinach.
Why aren't they drinking spinach juice?
We got to get these mosquitoes vegan now.
If you had vegan mosquitoes, can you imagine how strong they'd be if all they did was drink spinach?
Like Popeye with 6 massive arms.
Huge giant biceps on mosquitoes from all the spinach.
Barely able to fly because their wings are struggling. It's like
Wow.
confusing looking ants.
I was going to say it'd make them easy to escape from, but if they're only drinking spinach, you wouldn't really need to escape from them.
Not
You'd
unless
just
you
get
had a
to
really
go-
delicious looking salad that they had their eye on.
That's true. That's true. If you're a spinach farmer, they are your worst enemy. That's
Definitely.
what no one thinks about. Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, already, Adele, this is more knowledge than I expected. You know, within just minutes of talking to you, this is
Animals are
quite
my
incredible.
specialist subject.
They are right. Okay, and that's all animals? Are there any that you're clueless about?
There's some animals I haven't spoken to, but most of them I've spoken to.
Mm.
I haven't spoken to many whales just because of the underwater thing. I mean,
Right.
they know me as, but it's hard to get a good conversation going. They talk very slowly.
Very slowly, and they always sound very sad. I always think
Yeah.
whales. It's like, oh, cheer up. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't listen to much whale song.
I was going to say,
Sounds
they
like
went
a
into
faraway
sad
cat.
Yeah, it was a faraway. I mean, maybe faraway cats are talking to whales. Maybe that's what you've missed out on.
Maybe what it is that whales are just sad because there aren't any cats in the sea, and cats are great.
Yes. Do catfish not count?
Oh, I don't know. Would you say a catfish is more cat or fish? Because by letters, it's more fish. 4 versus 3.
No, catfish are just. They think they're just whiskers, and then the rest of them is fish, isn't it?
Yeah, although whiskers are quite a key part of a cat, aren't they?
Oh, that's true. But then mice have them as well.
Yeah, and I suppose so. I suppose it's the combination of whiskers and pointy ears that are the cat thing. Because mice don't have the pointy ears; they've got round ears.
Is that that's pretty much the only difference between cat and mice, isn't it? I think.
Pretty much, yeah. That and sort of size, but you wouldn't know if it wasn't just a faraway cat. If you saw a mouse
That's
with
true.
pointy ears, you might be like, "Well, that cat's really far in the distance," but actually, it's a mouse.
Yeah. Because if you gave it cheese, it would eat it, whether it was a cat or a
Oh,
mouse.
cats love cheese.
Yeah. I'm starting to think, and this is then makes it more weird that cats chase mice, because you think, but it's basically you. Stop chasing yourself.
Well, maybe they're just angry that mice are getting some of the cheese they could be eating.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. And several of the whiskers too.
Yeah. It's more that they're jealous that mice are very cute and soft and fluffy and eating bits of cheese. And the cats want all of the glory.
I mean, that makes sense to me. That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, the next question, I suppose, do you think dogs are just big cats?
No, I think dogs are, when you see yourself in the mirror and it looks basically like you, but it's not quite because everything's the opposite way around. I think,
Yes.
like if a cat had fallen through a portal, a dog would come out.
Right.
And that's how, that's what originally happened. All the dogs here are cats in an alternate universe, and all the cats here are dogs in an alternate universe.
Wow. So dogs are like, so they're not, so they're alternate cats. They're not reverse cats.
They're not reverse cats. They're mutant cats.
Mutant cats. My goodness. Gosh. I mean, that's some quite, that means somewhere out there is a dimension where people don't know of cats. They only know of dogs.
Well, maybe, but then also there are all the dogs from here, cats there.
Oh yeah, very possibly.
It's
possibly.
I think the only one that doesn't change is foxes. They're the same both places because they're a bit cat and a bit dog.
Oh yeah, but they might be. Yeah, but maybe they'd reverse what's cat and dog about them.
Or maybe what they would reverse is that they would just all the orange foxes would look like Arctic foxes, and all the Arctic foxes would look like orange foxes.
Which would be really awkward for the foxes in the Arctic.
Yeah, then just be like,
be able to
can't wonder how is everyone seeing me bright orange in the white snow.
Yes, that would be treacherous for them, I think.
That's like when you go to a costume party, but you're the only one who put any effort in, and everyone else hasn't done fancy dress.
I think that should be illegal. I'll be honest. I think that the one thing that the country, and in fact around the world, it should be clamped down on. If there's a fancy dress party, everyone should go in fancy dress. It's not fair to the one person that makes the effort. No.
I think if you're going to host a fancy dress party, what you have to do is you have to indicate what percentage of effort you want on the fancy dress. Like 100%, everyone puts good costumes. They think about it for multiple days in advance. They've got bits of cardboard going on and stuff. You can put 50%, which means some people can just do fancy makeup and a pair of cat ears, and that counts. But you've got to make it clear what the percentage is, because it's always the worst when some people are at 20% effort and a few are at 100.
Wow. This is, I mean, you are bringing a level of organisation to fancy dress that I think is needed.
I think fancy dress is too whimsical and it needs more admin.
I don't disagree at all. If anything, you should fill in several forms if you're invited to. And do you know, many of the listeners to the show will, especially the royal family, they will have been invited to fancy dress parties.
Oh yeah, the fancy dress parties because they're royals.
Fancy dress. And I'm pretty sure they would all agree that if when you arrived you were handed a 10-page form that you had to fill in,
yes,
describing exactly what your costume represents. and how much effort you've put in.
Yeah, and where each item came from and what's that's for. What's the best outfit you ever wore in at a fancy dress party?
Oh, wow, that's a really. Oh, do you know what? It's very easy. It's a zombie. I did a full on zombie outfit.
Ooh.
This is as an adult, but I
Very
went
good.
full on like all the kind of like blood dripping from mouth and zombie
Gashes and
eyes and
things.
torn. Yeah, and I went
Nice.
full on like I actually looked a bit scary, and I was like, this. I feel pleased with this. Whereas the Spider-Man costume I wore when I was 4 was too big for me, and I ran eye first into a doorknob, and that made me never wear a Spider-Man costume again. So
Spider-Man would have sensed that. I think it was clear it was a costume.
yes.
Famously, the Spidey sense works on doorknobs.
Do you know what? That's how he must have got away with ill-fitting suits.
Mm.
It didn't matter whether the suit fitted well.
He
It's
knew
the
what was,
Spidey.
yeah.
If I'd come to the party with the Spidey sense,
Wouldn't have mattered. Yeah.
Oh, I really wish I'd thought about that at the time. That was the one thing my parents didn't get me.
It is a more
for that
expensive costume,
party.
the one that includes the Spidey sense.
That is true. I'm sure it is. I can't work out where they'd put it on the costume either. Probably
Probably some
around your
goggles
ears.
or something.
Yeah, maybe that's it. That is it. What about you? What was your best?
Oh, I had some good ones. My mum was very good at fancy dress outfits, making me good at fancy dress. I think my favourite one is I went to a party dressed as a bunch of grapes. So I was wearing green tights and a green top, and I had my face painted green, and then I had lots of purple balloons stuck on me.
Yeah. So because you had grapes as balloons, were you able to give people a grape? Like, were you able to go, here, have a grape?
I could. They were pinned onto me, like safety pinned onto me.
Oh, right, sure.
But
sure.
the fun bit was I had them all down my arms and legs and all over my body. So they kept popping, which was really funny. So I went as a whole bunch of grapes, and I came back as a few grapes left behind.
Wow. That's a great outfit. And
that's a grape outfit.
It's a grape outfit. oh, wow. It's yeah, you should have said thanks a bunch.
I should. I was only young. I probably didn't understand how puns worked yet.
No, this is something again. All the listeners to the show, even from whether they're -5 or 403, they've got to understand puns. It's one of life's necessities.
Yes, they are very important, very serious, and very important.
Very, very important. Well, listen, Adele, thank you again for having the time to come on the show. Already it's been a fascinating chat, and I feel we've learned quite a lot, especially about cats and indeed dogs. I've got a question that I know you are the person that can answer it.
Oh,
but
yes,
before we get there, I was going to ask you how you are with admin. I've got 2 admin questions, but I already know from your fancy dress suggestions that you're quite an admin fan.
Well, I'm good at admin ideas. I don't know if I'm as good at the execution. What I want is people to take my ideas and do the admin for me. I want to delegate the admin.
Right. So if I ask you 2 admin questions, are you going to have to find someone else to answer them?
I'll try my best, but you should know that it would be better if I had a cat here in the room to answer for me.
Right, sure. Okay, well, if we can, I will try and imagine what the cat's answers might be. Although I assume they'd be your answers.
Oh, yeah.
Because you've delegated it. But are you allowing the cat some freedom in the
I trust cats to express my thoughts coherently, but also with a bit of flair.
Nice. That's fair. Okay. Well, if you respond, and I think myself and everyone listening, whether it's the royal family or not, we can all just try and imagine that a cat has said it.
Meow 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 meow.
Oh wow! Very very good. Very good. Hang on, that wasn't you just that cat just said. I thought you said you didn't have a cat there.
Oh, sorry, I just let one in.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Are you gonna let the cat answer the questions, or are you gonna?
I'll see if he looks like he knows what he's going to say. I don't want to give him too much power.
Sure. This is fair. Okay, well, listen, we'll try with question 1. We'll see which of you answers it, and either is fine, really. I think the second question is harder, but it's up to you to, see how you go. Question number 1. This is a big admin question. Adele.
Yes.
What is this?
Oh, this. Oh, I'm glad you've asked. It's actually, I've started drinking all of my orange juice out of very, very thin, tall test tubes. I just think it makes the vitamins get into you better.
Wow. That is fascinating. So does it stop being just orange juice and starts being a sort of scientific potion?
It's sort of like an orange injection. You can see it's a very thin tube. So you're sort of, it's like you're getting a vaccine against oranges.
Right, and why? How have you got such long? Because I've seen scientific laboratories. I have. I'm going to boast. I've seen one, definitely in a picture, possibly in a book, and they don't normally have test tubes that are that long, or indeed filled with orange juice. How did you get
Well,
such a thing?
the good thing is my sister is a scientist.
Right.
Yeah, she's very important. She works at a pharmaceutical company, making sure all the drugs are safe,
Right.
which is very important, and also means that she can get good lab equipment like real tall test tubes.
Right.
Really,
And I
really tall.
suppose you need
And the orange
long
juice
one.
I got
Yeah.
from Sainsbury's.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Sure.
It
Okay,
doesn't
that
come
makes
in the
sense.
tube. I pour it into the tube, and then I drink it out of the tube.
Right. I'm trying to work out why you need a test tube that's so long because often it's for sort of you put in one chemical substance and then you put in another and you see how it reacts. But with a long one, it's almost like I almost feel it'd be best just for putting an insect at the bottom and then you could and then it wouldn't bother you.
No, maybe. Well, you can do it like that. I've got two tubes. I've got this one that's got a flat bottom and you just drink out the top. I've
Right.
got another one that's actually a titration tube, which is the one with the tap on. So you can just stick
Right.
your face under it and turn the tap on and orange juice goes in your mouth.
That's very good.
You
Well, that
remember
just
when you
makes
do
it
titration, it's like you have a beaker full of stuff and then you've got like
right.
a beaker full of acid and you've got an alkali or something in a tube and you're letting it all out slowly to see when it changes pH. I do that, but I just
Right.
put orange in the tube,
Yes.
which
And
is,
then
of
I
course, an
presume
acid.
the orange juice does the orange juice taste better because it's basically had a brilliant. It's basically been on one of those theme park rides where they're in a lift, but the lift drops down very suddenly.
Yeah,
So
it's a
it's
bit
had a
like
great
that.
time.
It's
Yeah,
a
by
bit
the
like
time you
that, and it's
drank
also
it.
a bit like sometimes these fancy beauty products that get sold to people to stop them looking old, where they're like, "Oh, we've oxygenated this," which is a lie,
Right.
but it's a bit like that. And I think, "Oh, this will make me look younger."
Wow.
When I first
Wow.
started, I looked like I was about 100, but now I look like a toddler. So
That is, and I was going to say it's obviously working very well. I mean, this is fascinating. So maybe really, if anyone listening to this enjoys orange juice, they should be drinking it from a distance, or at least
yeah,
from a very tall test
find the
tube.
tallest thing you can find: measuring cylinder, a test tube, anything in that. Those pixie sticks full of sugar. Empty that out, fill it up with orange juice.
What would you say about like a huge water slide? Do you think if someone poured the orange juice at the top of the water slide and someone at the bottom was then drinking it, would that work?
It could work, yeah. I'm just worried on most water slides. I think the diameter of the base of a water slide is significantly larger than the diameter of most people's mouths.
Oh yeah.
I just think there's a
Yes,
mismatch there. It's like when you go on holiday and you don't have the right plug.
yeah, that's right. So then they'd have to have something at the bottom to catch it in, which then kind of ruins the drinking it from.
Yeah, you'd need a funnel, and then
Yeah.
it's just sort of like drinking out of a funnel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also, I
that's
think
really
water
annoying.
slides have had a lot of people's bottoms on them, so I don't know if I'd want
Yes,
to drink
yeah,
something that's been
disgusting.
through there.
That's actually a much better point. You don't want orange juice with bottoms in it.
Mm.
That would be the worst kind of orange juice.
No, I like my orange juice bottomless.
Yes, that's yeah. Yeah, you don't want it bottomless because then you'd never stop having orange juice.
Oh, well, I want orange juice that never stops and also has never had anyone's bottom on it.
Yes, so it's bottomless on both accounts.
Yeah, double bottomless.
But if you were drinking orange juice that never stopped, you would become so young, you'd sort of disappear. You'd end up then.
Well, that's the worry.
becoming
I've only been doing
minus
this for 2 days and I'm already looking incredibly young.
Yes.
This might be the last time you see me.
Because you're just going to get smaller and smaller.
I'm
And
just
then
going to get
disappear.
tiny. Yeah.
Wow.
But,
Are you hoping that you're sort of going to minus ages and kind of reverse?
Ooh,
grow
maybe.
again?
Maybe I can sort of explore the secrets of the universe as a not yet baby.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
Or
what a
maybe you get to
dream.
go back to a previous life.
Oh yes,
Or it
which
could
would be
be
good
like-
unless you're. It depends on it and how you feel about it. Like if you were not a human in previous life, it could be rubbish.
Mm.
It could be rubbish if you were a worm or
But
something.
the good thing is I know everything about all the animals. So even if I was not a human in a
you'd be
previous life, I
fine.
would have some knowledge there to
You'd be
make the
fine,
most
yeah.
of being a worm.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair. I'd just spend the whole time going, which end is my face and which is my bum. If
I
was a
would
worm.
hope if you were a worm, you'd know.
Do you think?
I think they know.
I'm not sure.
I think if they didn't know, they wouldn't be very successful.
Are they successful? Do you consider earthworms successful?
Well, given that the early bird catching the worm is meant to be a good thing, the idea in that is
Yeah.
that worms are good.
That's true,
Like
actually. That
there's
is
something
true.
that you want.
Yeah, that's fair. And also, I mean, worms are everywhere. They're pretty popular worldwide, aren't
Yeah.
they?
Everyone loves a worm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Mm.
Okay, fair. Maybe I should reconsider this. Maybe worms are popular and they do know exactly where their bum is.
Yeah.
Oh, I've not really thought this
I
through.
think everyone
Yeah.
really knows where their own bum is, don't they?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I think it'd be an awful time if you weren't sure.
It would be sad, wouldn't it? Imagine if you were a worm and you get to spend all that time having fun in the dirt and just playing around, but
Yeah,
you don't know where
yeah.
your bum is. That would be a shame.
It would be a real shame and really, really confused. Just think about when you need a nice sit down and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, is it here? No, that's my knee. Oh,
and
what
just
about
doing
this?
a
Oh, I'm sitting on my
headstand. And...
Yeah.
Mm.
Gosh, they have such a hard life. I'm glad they're popular. It makes it all a bit better.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, good luck with the orange juice. Thank you for. I mean, I'm glad you explained that because I was going to ask.
It's pretty scientific, yeah.
He is very scientific. He's very smart. Very, very clever. And I hope that other people take you up on this and start reversing back into former lives as worms.
Mm. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. Well, me too. Well, now listen, Adele, thank you for answering that one. And you didn't pass it on to the cat at all. So I'm very impressed. Question number 2. This is a very big admin question. I think this one's harder, but again, so far you've handled everything with ease, so we'll see how you go. Adele, would you rather that every floor you ever walked on instantly became like a trampoline, or every staircase you used turned into a slide?
Oh, they both sound fun.
They do, yeah.
I have a question. Are staircases?
Yes, of
Does
course.
this happen when I'm going upwards as well?
Yes, I mean, it happens. I did think that that's probably an obvious flaw in this, really, because it's as soon as you step on a stair, it becomes a slide.
So you can't wear socks because you'll be slipping everywhere. Whereas if you're doing the floor trampoline thing, you can always have socks on. In fact, it's best to have socks on a trampoline.
That's is this coming down to how much you want to wear socks? More than
I love wearing socks.
factor?
I don't like feet. Yeah. I think they're icky. And I like socks. I love socks, comfy socks, socks with a nice pattern on. Also, I do really like trampolines. I used to do a lot of trampolining when I was younger, and it's the most fun ever. I still go to trampoline parks now, and it's just me and a lot of young children.
Does that work? Surely you're just knocking over young children all the time.
I go on different trampolines.
You don't go on the same one. It's not like you're barging
I'm not
on
walking
going,
up to 4-year-olds and bouncing next to them really aggressively.
Yeah, that's fair, because you do have those places that are like the big trampoline world places, like where there's lots of trampolines everywhere and trampolines on the walls, and you could knock into people there because then they just fly off and bounce off something else, and it's almost fun.
Yeah, they're pretty good. The flip outs and other trampoline parks of this world. I do enjoy them. So realistically, I'd probably go for the trampoline one because that is just like living in a trampoline park, which is the dream.
It's good, but then would you, if it was every floor you walked on, would you not would you not find there were times you're like, oh, I just don't want to bounce right now?
Maybe I can get around it by having a tricycle that I carry. So if I go into a room and I don't want to bounce, I get on the tricycle and I cycle in there. And then I'm not walking on the floor. So like if I want to cook myself some dinner, I tricycle in. The floor remains solid. I make dinner, it gets spilled. Then I can...
That's a very good plan. I mean, I do wonder if you even need to go out fun, because it is every floor you walk on. You could crawl on the floor or even bum shuffle.
That's true. And the bum shuffle's great because you also clean the floor whilst you're doing that.
Yes,
as long as you're wearing trousers, don't do that with your naked bum.
Absolutely, and as long as you're not putting your bum anywhere near orange juice.
Yes, you shouldn't be keeping your orange juice on the floor.
That is also a very good.
It makes it sticky.
Tips today. Yes, it really does. It really does, and just very gritty as well.
Yeah.
So trampolines rather than slides. I mean, I do think that you're obviously saying you wouldn't do the slides because of socks. But would you consider it if you got to wear a sack everywhere?
Oh, like the slides at a fair. Because in my head, I always tend to default to a water slide as my slide choice. Sure. And I love a water slide. They're a lot of fun, but sometimes I want to be wearing all my clothes, not just my swimming costume.
Yes, that's fair. That's very fair. Yep, absolutely. No, so I was thinking more like fairground slide, like you would get to wear a Hessian sack.
Yeah, I like a Hessian sack. I think I prefer socks to Hessian sacks, though.
That's fair and easier to kind of get around the rest of the time in
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
can get
it
more
makes sense.
variety in socks. You know, there's lots of cool socks, whereas most Hessian sacks look the same.
That's true. Why has no one done fashion for Hessian sacks?
It's a market that is absolutely crying out to be exploited, but at the moment,
I
empty. Some young
just think of
entrepreneur
all-
can get into that.
They need to, because it's not just obviously people going down slides. It's all those potatoes
Mm,
who probably want something fancier to wear.
yeah, they're going on holiday in the sack. They would like the sack to look nice.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm.
Wow. Well, maybe, I know you've got a lot on, but I would add that on your list of things. I trust you to decide.
Okay.
A
Yeah, I'll
course
get
and
that down there. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. Well, listen, thank you, Adele. You've answered both of those admin questions very, very succinctly. Well-informed answers that I think the listeners needed. So thank you so much.
Happy to help.
And that brings us. Sorry.
I said I'm happy to help.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you're happy to help. It'd be awful if you were sad to help.
No.
And I'd have to stop asking for your help, which would be awkward because there's still one more question. So I'm glad. I'm glad that's how it's gone. But we've got this question, and this question has come from Doggy Lover Woof from New Zealand, and they obviously love dogs so much they've learned how to speak like a dog, which is very cool.
That is, yeah, we don't know what that last word is. It could be anything.
It could be anything, and I hope it's
Maybe that's
I
their
hope it's a
name.
sort of greeting. Oh, it could be that their first name is Woof.
Yeah.
And that's their title. Yes, that's very true, actually. So, well, let's refer to them as Woof
Yes.
for this.
I think if you like dogs and your name was Woof, that would be perfect, wouldn't it?
that would be ideal. Yes, it would be good. Unless, of course, it was a woof that meant something rude to dogs. Like if it was,
Oh,
it depends on what woof. If it's like a woof that means hello, I like dogs are grey, brilliant. But what if your woof means like stinky knees? Or...
yeah. Well, if it's not like woofy, like a bad smell, that would be bad,
Oh, yeah.
wouldn't it? But I
Yeah,
think
it would be
woof
bad.
could be a good word. And it's a good name
Could
if
be
you
a good
like a
word.
dog.
Yeah, it's dogs only really woof because they bark if they're annoyed, don't they? They only really woof if they're pretty chirpy.
Woofs are sort of a fun noise, aren't they? They're a, hey, how's it
Yeah.
going?
I agree. I agree. Let's assume that woof means something nice like sausages
Yeah,
or indeed hello.
Woof's a good person.
Woof's a good person. Yeah, I thought they were. Well, you might change your mind when you hear their question, though, because Woof's question that I know you can answer is I'm going to read this as it's been sent. Hello! They put that all in capitals. Hello! I have a question! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. So this is very dramatic
It's a
already.
big question.
It's a big question. And then they ask, how do we know poop is disgusting if we haven't tried it?
It's an important question. I think
very
what I would
important.
say first is in this situation, your nose is your friend.
Wow.
Like if something smells gross, it probably tastes gross.
Oh. Oh.
So if
that's-
something smells horrible, don't put it in your mouth. If it smells horrible, give it to someone else to try first, like your brother or sister.
Oh, that's very sensible advice. That's very sensible advice. My concern with this is that sometimes you get very stinky cheeses, and they are stinky, but then you eat them, and they are delicious. And you also get stinky tofu, which is stinky, but then delicious. Like some foods are stinky, but then yum, you know?
I think they're a different sort of stinky.
Right.
I think
Right.
there's types of stinky, and some of them are sort of food stinky smells, and some of them are plant stinky smells, and some of them are
Yeah.
poop stinky smells, and those are the ones that you've got to avoid.
Right. But isn't poop plant and food stinky smells because poop is food and sometimes plants?
Well, poop's not, but poop. The thing is, in this this little circle, poop is food for plants, and plants
Right.
can be food for animals, and animals make poop.
Right.
So it's a
right.
lovely cycle.
That is a lovely cycle. You do want that, so why aren't we cutting out the kind of middleman, as it were, then? Because
And
it
just
does
going
feel like it's a
directly
long
to
way
the
round.
poop.
Well, I just wondered, like, couldn't we give plants a break? If we were eating poo, wouldn't we give plants a break? They could just do their own thing.
But then, if we're eating poo, are we eating the plant's food?
Oh, that's the point, isn't it? So maybe that's a better reason not to eat poo.
Yeah,
If you eat poo, you're starving a plant.
yeah, and that's a mean thing to do. And I also
That's a
think
mean thing to do.
it feels like a thing that someone's probably tried and it hasn't caught on yet. And it's been a long time. I think if it tasted not rubbish, we'd know by now. The secret would have gotten out.
Yeah, because Woof is saying, if we haven't tried it, and obviously we haven't, you and
Yeah.
well, I don't want to speak for you, Adele. I haven't tried it.
No,
and
I
don't think
haven't.
Woof's tried it.
Mm.
Yeah. But I assume you're right. I think someone probably did try it at some point. I mean, you look at like rabbits. Rabbits eat their own poo.
Yeah.
Dogs eat poo. There's quite a few animals that do eat poo. I'm sure there must have been a human at some point that went, well, I'll put it in a sandwich and see what happens. And then
Yeah,
went,
but
"Oh,
it's
no."
not as good as Nutella, is it?
No, I mean that's. Do you think if we didn't have Nutella, we'd all have to eat poo?
Maybe. It's a good thing Nutella exists.
Yes,
Mm.
very good, very good. I'm really grateful actually because Nutella goes well on so many things, and I just don't think poo would cover anywhere near the same level of.
No, I don't think poo's a very
Yeah,
diverse
toppings.
food.
No,
You
it's
don't
really
want
not,
it in
is
a crepe. You don't want it
No,
like
no
on
crepe.
toast.
Go on
You don't
toast.
want
No,
it
that's
drizzled on
awful.
pancakes.
No, you wouldn't want a poo smoothie.
No, not at all.
You wouldn't want a hot poo chocolate.
No,
No,
no.
you're right. You're
I,
right.
th- I
You're right. I mean,
think I
yeah.
think maybe trust your nose. Also,
Mm.
if it was tasty, we'd know by now.
That's true, isn't it? Because if you
Because
think
there's
about all
about
the other
8 billion
things-
people, aren't there, in the world? And that's just the ones who are currently alive. So there's been loads of previous people. And
Yeah.
of all the important scientific discoveries, if poop was tasty, that would have been one of the biggest ones.
Yeah,
That would have been a Nobel Prize right there.
I mean, if you think about lots of other stuff that isn't nice, we've definitely like sand. I don't know about you. I've tried sand, not on purpose. Like when it's got into a sandwich. I suppose maybe it thought it belonged there.
Yeah.
But like when I've had some, food at the beach and you eat a bit of sand, I go, no, I shouldn't be eating this.
It's like earwax. When you go, oh,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
You think
Someone must have tried earwax.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
well, I bet it's that thing where, I'm sure I've done that thing where you scratch your ear and you think, oh, that's clean. My hand looks clean. And then later you lick your finger
no.
and it tastes like earwax.
Oh no, that's awful.
I've never done
That's
that with poop, though.
No. But people have done it with bogies.
Mm.
Some people are really happy with bogies as a snack.
Bogies have got mixed reviews, but I would say they got more going for them than poop.
Yes.
Or even earwax.
Yeah, and your nose is closer to your mouth. It makes more. It's almost like it's an easy.
It's like recycling that one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I it makes sense to me. Whereas, yeah, I mean, even if you're an earthworm, you don't really want anything that comes from your bum.
No,
I think.
that's why they have to know where their bum is.
Yeah, they do have to know where their bum is, and that's why. I mean, you wouldn't have orange juice that's been near a bum. Why would anyone have poo that's from a bum?
No, exactly. I think avoid at all costs.
Yeah, and you know what I'm hoping, Adele, is that Woof gets this before she tries it.
Well,
I
yeah.
hope she listens to this.
Please,
before
Woof.
she's-
Don't do it. It's not worth it. You don't deserve poop. You're better than
Yes.
that.
100%, unless you are a plant, in which case,
Delicious
enjoy.
poop.
Yeah, enjoy. I don't want to discount. We might have plants listening to this show, and I don't want to discriminate.
Any
if there
carrots
are.
listening, go ahead.
Enjoy that poop. Mushrooms, especially mushrooms.
Yeah,
big fans of
love
poop.
it.
So, yeah, that's fair. You enjoy that. I don't want to ruin your dinner. So yes. Wow. Well, listen, Adele, thank you so much. What incredible expertise and knowledge that you've brought to this podcast. I appreciate you coming on and having the time. What have you got coming up in the next sort of 20, 30, 40, 50, even 70, 80, 90 years?
Well, I'm doing some more historical research, this time into people who've, significant animals in history, but mostly the ones who've done nothing. I think that's going to be important. I'm thinking I might try and go down 10 water slides in the next 5 years.
Wow.
I think like 10 good ones.
That's 2 a year. That's like
2
2
a year,
That's a
yeah.
lot.
2 a year, I think, is
Wow.
achievable. I'm hoping for that. I've got some rollerblades I bought recently. I haven't used them much. I think I'll try and get them
Nice.
out. And yeah, apart from that, mostly just trying to steal my neighbour's cat.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, listen, all the best with all of those things.
Thank you.
And I do hope that, in fact, you manage to steal the cat and you get to take it rollerblading and down 2 water slides a year.
Yeah, and then it can do sort of talks for me and things like that. It'll be
Sounds great.
perfect.
Sounds really good. Well, thank you so much again, and hopefully we'll have you back on the show soon.
Thank you.
2 hiccups in a row. Really funny.
Big thanks to Adele Cliff for having time to answer Doggy Lover Woof's question. And Doggy Lover Woof, I do hope you liked your answer, but if not, why not put any complaints you have in some poop, and then no one will go near it, as it's disgusting, and I'll never have to hear them. If you have a question that you need to have answered, then get your nearest grown-ups, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclubforkids.co.uk. And if those same grown-ups would like to help support this show, they can sign you up to the advert-free Linda edition and hiccup-free too on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Acast Plus, or patreon.com/comedyclubforkids. So, I've still got these stupid hiccups, and there's only 2 more recommended ways to get rid of them, so I bet none of them are going to work at all.
Number 4, squeeze your left ear while drinking water from a glass with a shoe in it, and all while shouting the name of someone you've never seen before.
Okay then, I guess I will. Squeeze ear, drink water. Linda! It worked! I can't believe it. I'm free from hiccups. I'm so happy that I could achoo! Oh no. How weird. Where did that sneeze come from? Achoo! Oh, for crying out loud. I can't be achoo! Allergic to shoe water. Achoo! Am I? Achoo! Bye! Achoo! You have been listening to
Comedy Club for Kids presents.
Radio nonsense! Radio nonsense! Radio nonsense! Radio nonsense! Radio nonsense! It's the